Okay, hello guys, welcome to another video, an Arcane video. There's a lot in here, especially that third episode. There's so many amazing quotes and symbolism and metaphors, and that ending is kind of insane. So we'll be breaking this down. So episode 4 starts with Paint the Town Blue, title of the song and the title of the episode playing. It starts to kind of catch us up on what's been going on, kind of a new Jinx rebellion kind of a thing. They called them Jinxers in the episode, I guess. And kind of their ongoing conflict with the enforcers, as well as Caitlyn's hatred for Jinx and kind of trying to find Jinx, and also painting her in a negative light here as almost a conniving villain or something like that. After this, we get a scene with Kate and Nolan in bed together, which I guess they are together, Kate and Officer Nolan, otherwise known as Maddie. So I mean, obviously there's a time skip present here, but it's not years, probably like a few weeks, maybe months. I know they say Jinx hasn't made a move for weeks, and I'm guessing that that's what they mean. Then we get a scene with Isha and Jinx together, and it's kind of like Isha's like powder, obviously, kind of this relationship. Jinx lost this battle, so she has agreed to dye Isha's hair blue, and it's definitely resembling a mini powder. Then we get a scene with Medarda with her right-hand man, I guess, and they're testing the hex tech with a new scientist who dies because he can't figure it out. They complain about the fact that they didn't secure the scientists, and now they don't know what to do with hex tech. We learn here that Jace, Echo, and Heimerdinger have gone missing after the events of episode 3. They think that the scientists were taken by the Black Rose Order or whatever, the Black Rose. Medarda says they fear hex tech. The Black Rose fears hex tech, so they must have taken the scientists. But I mean, I don't think that's the case. They didn't show that. It was something to do with the hex core. Then we get a scene at a checkpoint with the enforcers managing this checkpoint, people from the Undercity filtering through, and then someone in a cloak activates some Jinx-like trigger with bombs and pink explosions and stuff to make a point. And we saw this in the trailer when I did the teaser breakdown, and I figured it wasn't Jinx because why put her in the cloak? And it was not. It was Isha, becoming almost a new Jinx. Medarda and Caitlyn have a talk about the fact that peace is used as the justification for violence, and kind of getting some history on what they've been doing, how Caitlyn's like her new pupil, and they've been working together. Next we get Sallow getting a tattoo from the cat lady again, and he says he needs the shimmer tattoo tomorrow, but the cat lady recommends him to a healer in the Undercity, which we didn't exactly know who this was, but I was thinking it was probably Victor, and we do know that this ends up being Victor. We go back to Jinx and Isha, kind of having a good time, I guess. Savika comes in and saying that Jinx can rally the Undercity together, that Silco tried, but Jinx represents a symbol and she has a chance. When Savika comes in, I think it was interesting that there was kind of the glitching or the 2D kind of camera flashing or shaking that goes on in Jinx's mind just for a second. We saw it just for a second, but it's interesting because we haven't seen it in a bit, and it kind of represents Jinx's state of mind, and I guess that shows that she's been in a healthier state of mind. But Savika coming in and mentioning Silco kind of like disrupted it for a second. But then we get a really interesting scene where, actually a really good directing decision, I guess, where Jinx gets the Hextech gemstone and goes back to an unknown place. We don't really know where she is, and she's talking to someone that we don't even know who she's talking to, but she's kicking this chair around as it's spinning and talking, and you can pretty soon realize that it's Silco because we just see the edge of the chair or whatever, and we know she's talking to someone dead. So it was very, very interesting to do it this way. But she's saying she found a real friend in Isha, and she's scared she'll mess it up. She doesn't want to mess it up like she messed it up before when she was powder. At the midpoint of this episode, we get the statue of Vander and the Undercity rallying around it. At the same time, Kate is looking at the statue of all they've lost, the counselors. And here, I actually noticed that her hair had gotten darker, kind of symbolizing her descent into darkness, I guess, and her being in a darker headspace, I guess. Savika tries to rally up the Undercity, but they just ask where Jinx is. But Isha comes in, lighting a flare, just like Powder was supposed to do, but Jinx ended up doing. Isha lights a flare, kind of rallies them together, but then there's an ambush from the Topsiders who ambushed this rally. And Singed is here, and during this commotion, he cuts himself, drops some blood onto the ground, and we see Warwick getting summoned. We see Jinx back at their hideout place or whatever, and she's calling for Isha. And this moment is very short, but kind of, I guess, strong, where she for a second thinks that Isha left her. When she's looking for Isha and she can't find Isha, she starts some glitching. They don't really mention it. It's kind of glitching in the background. And I think that's just something so well this show does, is show don't tell. When they straight up, they show you and you interpret it instead of just telling you to your face. And in this moment, you can interpret that Jinx is scared that Isha has left her and starts to lose her mind a bit. And then Savika comes in and tells Jinx that Isha was taken, and she has this intense, I guess, mind battle again that she had more commonly in season 1, with Silco's voice in her head and Vi's voice in her head and all the 2D characters kind of yelling at her in her mind. But this time she shoots a bullet, I guess, but she doesn't freak out. She kind of stays put. She controls herself, and she regains control, and she doesn't lose it. And I think this was a good representation of her newfound control over her mind. I do want to point out that Savika here has lost her arm again. I guess they don't want anyone to get anything they deserve this episode. I mean, I guess I'm not saying she deserves it, because she's kind of a bad guy, but like, can we just give some of these characters a break? But Savika and Jinx come up with a plan to kind of, I guess, get Jinx captured to get access to the ship or whatever. But she comes in to this enforcer and says, "Hey, I'm Jinx, you can take me in." But the enforcer's like, "I haven't heard that one before. You're not Jinx. You look like a half-eaten circus tent." And then Savika comes in and knocks her out. But it's pretty funny. But in this process, we see Jinx gets a robotic middle finger, which is interesting. And Jinx puts on the enforcer outfit and acts like she has, I guess, arrested Savika. They then go to the prison, where Jinx breaks out everyone and is seen as a hero. All the Jinxers come to her. They touch her shoulder and kind of represent her as a hero. And this is a great moment for her. But in this process, Medarda was here and saw a little bit of blue hair here out of her enforcer outfit, and she waits as a container comes down from the zipline thing, I guess, and it looks like Warwick is inside. Jinx finds Isha, they hug, and Warwick comes in, like destroys the enforcers who take their attention away from Jinx. And Savika takes Isha, runs away with her, and I was wondering who that was in the trailer, but it was Savika taking Isha. Now we know Warwick and Jinx have an intense fight and battle until Jinx eventually is pinned against the wall with her arms stuck in the air and nothing to do until Warwick wakes up, realizes this is Powder, and says, "Powder." And we realize this is Vander while the Across the River music is playing from the opening of season 1. And we realize this is Vander. And all the people who thought Vander was Warwick 3 years ago have finally gotten that confirmed. Episode 5 begins with Vi fighting this guy who worked for Silco in season 1 that she destroyed in the prison in season 1 as well, who now is like a new Jaw. But they fight in this fight club, I guess. She now has this black hair. But Jinx shows up and says, "Hey, sis." And I noticed here that Vi's mirror is cracked, and I thought it was interesting because the previous episode, Jinx was looking at herself in a cracked mirror. So they are now both have cracked mirrors. They used the metaphor of being shattered a lot for Jinx, and now they've done it for Vi, and it's pretty interesting. But Vi, I guess, tries to like choke her, but Jinx says, "Hey, Vander's alive," and Vi holds back. Then we get a scene of Caitlyn walking through the aftermath of this breakout and this Warwick attack, and we see them kind of interviewing Singed, not interviewing, I guess, interrogating Singed about this creature that he made and this music locket that he carries around that we have heard and seen for a while now. We go back to Mel, who we haven't seen in an episode, who is in this Black Rose kind of hell where she sees someone chained, Alora. She sees Alora chained, her running, and I thought here, did she escape? Is this her like getting PTSD, but she's escaped? But no, she's in this sewers of an old world, is what they call it. Oculorum chambers is what it's called, by this other man who's in this place with her, which turns out to be her brother. Jinx goes to go guide Vi to where Vander is, and Vi finds this mural of Jinx seen as a hero, painted over Vander as a hero. They go down to this like mines area where there's these like luminescent things that light up when they clap, and as they're walking they kind of get an emotional battle, I guess. And I think it was funny when Jinx was at Silco's chair the previous episode. She said she's without Silco, she's gotten a little worse at her comebacks, her witty comebacks, but she did a lot of these here in her argument with Vi. I mean, I guess it's a pretty basic argument. Vi says that this is just one of her fantasies. Jinx says, "This was one of my fantasies, that you were an enforcer," and they go back and forth about using gadgets and using fists, and then they get in an actual fight where they start kind of like pushing each other around and hitting each other. Isha tries to come in and help and tries to get on top of Vi and punch her in the back, but Vi kind of turns around and hits her, similar to the way that she hit Powder, actually, with the back of her hand, sort of thing. But yeah, that kind of stops the fight. But here is a scene I noticed that Jinx just feels much more under control and caring, and I actually really liked to see that. Here, Singed and Medarda talk about Medarda wanting to use Singed's beast for her own good, and we get to see in Warwick's mind here for a little bit, and it's pretty interesting. He sees Silco and he sees the mother of Vi and Jinx dead, and this does give us some backstory on their falling out as friends, as brothers really, but it's very interesting. I'll talk about it more in a bit. We go back to Mel, who figures out this puzzle by drawing this symbol on the ground, like maybe there's a way out if you do this symbol. But the brother talks about this story that he heard about his mother finding a lover in this town she was passing by that birthed a child. Now, we don't exactly know who this child is at this point, and I was very confused. I was thinking, is it one of them? Is it Mel or the brother? Is it someone else we don't know about? We got Singed back in his lab with Caitlyn and Medarda behind him, and Caitlyn says that she has figured out his identity as Dr. Reverick and pulls a gun on him, calls him a monster, and he says, he kind of doesn't say anything. He uses the locket to have like a secret key to open the secret room, and says that all he's done is for love. And we see his daughter in some like capsule thing, and he says he's trying to cure death. That's what he's been doing all these experiments for, and maybe Warwick has the key to cure death. Mel continues to do the puzzle in this area, but as she's doing this, we see a drop of water kind of like splash behind her, and at the same time we see her brother disappear and then fade back in, basically telling us he's fake. Mel realizes he's fake, grabs him and kind of smashes his head against the wall. I don't know why she had to do that, but sure. But then Mel kind of gets chained up, and the Black Rose talks to her, and I'm guessing it was Amara. I think it sounded like Amara talking to her through the Black Rose area or whatever, but saying that they think Mel is the child that they're looking for, and that this child, I'm pretty sure, this is where I was a little confused, and I could use you guys a little more, but I'm pretty sure they said that this child was like the key against the Black Rose or something like that. And basically it looks like she's like trapped, but she breaks out of all these chains into a flash of light with this golden armor shining. This golden armor again. The golden armor saved her and Jace from the Jinx rocket, and now here it is doing something else. Then we go to Jinx and Vi, who stumble upon the old living quarters, or I guess area that Silco and Vander would hang out. They find some of Vander's fists and a Silco outfit in a Vander letter. This letter basically says, I'm not good at this, but I'm sorry. When she died, I lost all control, and I looked for you to blame, but there was dirt on both of our hands. And can we get past this, I guess, basically. But Jinx says if Silco found this letter, maybe things would have gone completely differently. And it is kind of a sad thought, but also interesting. This scene as well, you can see Vi in the background about to kind of console Jinx, kind of like put her hand on her shoulder or something, but right when she's about to, she kind of hesitates and instead puts her hand in the fist. I thought this was interesting, especially since it's kind of in the background and easy to miss. Then we get them back in this mines area, and the lights start activating by themselves. They are no longer clapping to activate them, they're activating by themselves, and it's because Warwick is running down the mines, kind of like pretty loud and causing a commotion enough to light up these lights, and it was a very cool scene. They kind of have a battle with him where they try not to kill him. Vi protects Jinx, Jinx protects Vi, and Jinx tells Vi, I promise you, this is Vander, please don't kill him. Vi puts her trust in Jinx, puts her fist down, and yells Vander right into a flashback scene, which is just insanity. But we get a scene with young Silco, young Vander, and Vi and Jinx's mom at this bar. The mom explains that she's pregnant and that Silco and Vander better get their whole Zahn thing figured out before she brings this child into the world to make it a better place for their child, kind of giving them extra motivation to get this done. And it was just a really nice scene that gave some background, especially on their falling out. They don't elaborate any more than this, but in case you need it, basically their falling out had to do with Silco pushing this battle against the enforcers and pushing it to a point of battle and war. And during this battle, the mother died, and Vander took it out on Silco and blamed him for their mother dying. Almost tried to kill him, you know. But I guess that's pretty much their falling out, and they went into separate ways with their ideals differing on how to create the nation of Zahn. Differed, and yeah. After this, we come back to Jinx trying to find a light and get to Vander or Warwick and Vi to see what happened. Jinx sees that Vi is hugging Warwick or Vander here. Jinx joins in, and then Isha joins in. It's a hug with the fam. Then we get, I guess, the Hex Core with Sallow here. Sallow is here taking some like capsules from this thing for Victor, but Jace kind of like teleports out of this Hex Core, I guess. Victor talks to him through Sallow. We learn that Sallow did get the healing process. Victor talks through him, and Sallow's about to walk away with these capsules, and Jace says, I can't let you get out of here, and smashes him in half with his hammer. He's got a little more hair, and he's also got that Hex Tech gemstone that he had so many years ago that he wears on his arm, like ingrained in his arm, which is pretty interesting. Episode 3 picks off with Victor in this sort of astral energy plane area where he witnesses Jace do this to Sallow. He says that there's a new manifestation in Jace, that this is no longer the Jace that he knows. Then we go to Medarda, who explains what the Noxus strength is, the three things that represent strength. She defines them as vision, might, force. Singed comes in to interrupt and says that he's tracked the beast down to the Undercity, where Vi in company are with the Herald people down there. They're told to leave their weapons, but as they go into this Herald kind of peaceful area, Isha steals the gemstone kind of secretly from Vi's fists. They then walk all the way to like the top of this area. They meet Victor, who tries to heal Vander by kind of like putting his hand on Warwick's head. Victor says he has limits, but thinks Vander is worth it. He's trying to break through to the man inside of this beast. Victor talks with Jinx and Vi here about what they should do, kind of strike a deal that he needs to be restrained. That is his one condition. And Vi asks Jinx what she thinks, and Jinx is surprised that her opinion matters to Vi, and this is kind of like some healing here. Then we get Medarda and the Noxus group try to get in with weapons. The guy, I forget his name, but that one of the Herald people says that there's no weapons, but I mean, they were about to kill him, which is kind of messed up. But Singed comes in and says, hey, I know this guy, let me go in there. I forgot to mention that there was this gear that Jinx was holding in the conversation with Victor and Vi, kind of, I guess, in her pocket, that she accidentally drops, that Victor picks up. That's kind of like red, green, gooey on one side, and the other side completely clean. That definitely has some metaphors and multiple meanings in this episode. But as Singed and Victor talk, Victor says that he's learned that with increasing knowledge, he's learned the vastness of his ignorance. And that's a very, very good line. And he also talks about this as he touches this gear that has two sides. And this is kind of hinting towards his, I guess, knowledge, or his newfound information or belief that there are two sides kind of intertwined together. Two sides to a coin. Vi goes to follow Singed back to wherever he came from, but Kate comes from the side of this hill or mountain, slides down and kind of beats up Vi. And Caitlyn then realizes it's Vi. Vi realizes it's Caitlyn, and they talk about their different appearances. And now they are officially oil and water, which I think is kind of interesting, the black and blue hair. Caitlyn takes Vi hostage back to the area of the Noxus area, and at the same time Jinx is with Isha and gets her sheriff back, or her pistol back. Jinx has another good line here where she says that ever since Isha came into her life, it's like she's wearing glasses, but she doesn't know if it's blurry or if it's clear, which is just a really good line, kind of defining her new character. Then we get a scene with Medarda and Vi. Kind of Medarda saying, you're the one who took Caitlyn's heart, but you have to die. She can't be distracted. But then Vi says there's three things she learned from her dad. And it's kind of a parallel with Medarda in the beginning of this episode is saying she's learned three things as well. But it's revealed that Caitlyn and Vi did have a plan together, that Caitlyn did not betray Vi. So in this process, where Singed is about to use a serum on Vander to kind of reignite the beast in him, Caitlyn kind of like chokes him out, I guess, but doesn't kill him, I guess, makes him unconscious. And then at the same time, Vi traps Medarda with this like electric net or something. And at this point I was like, things are going good, this means Jace is gonna screw this up. But Jace ends up getting brought to Victor. Victor's hanging out, I guess, like literally hanging, but then after Caitlyn has taken out Singed, the right hand man of Medarda comes in and kind of like knocks her on the ground. Is gonna kill her. But Jinx comes in with a shot Not pissed at Caitlyn anymore, I guess. Jinx and him have a little battle, but she's about to die, and so Warwick saves her and then sends him out a window. Then, as all is good, defeated, the fam's together, Jace uses his hammer and shoots a blast at Victor, which shatters this new room he's in. And this is very interesting because this is how the episode opens as well. This shattered glass or whatever, we don't know what's happening, and the episode kind of just starts with Victor in this astral plane. That's how the episode begins. But now we do know what it meant. This is kind of the shattering of whatever Victor's got going on here. All these people that he has healed kind of screech and it looks like their souls are being like pulled into the sky. And Warwick starts to light on fire. He starts to cry fire tears. He like absolutely becomes savage and kills the right-hand man brutally, the right-hand man of Medarda. And at the same time, we hear the same music used in his final battle at that bridge in episode 3 before Silco kills him. We get a beautiful and insane final scene that Victor realizes his ignorance in thinking that he can be this herald and help everyone. And then he even mentioned it before that affection is what kept him and Jace together. But he talks about the fact that humanity and emotions and rage and compassion are not what he was accounting for, and that this is a staple of this conflict. During this commotion, Vi gets stabbed. Caitlyn helps her out. Jinx tries to help out Vander, but she gets knocked on the ground. And we see Isha as a witness to this all. She runs through this crowd with a plan as she smiles. And at the same time, we do see some flashbacks in a, I guess, different art style of her and Jinx's time together. I think it's really interesting in these flashbacks. A lot of them, Jinx's eyes flash blue instead of pink to kind of give an example of her being powder when she's with Isha. And Isha runs through this, goes all the way to Vander, puts in 2 gemstones from the fist that she got into her sheriff, which was very reminiscent of when Powder put these Hextech, they weren't gemstones, but they were Hextech crystals, I guess, into the monkey bomb in season 1 episode 3 when she blew everything up and got Vander, Clagger, and Milo killed. But it's very reminiscent of the same thing, and she has this final moment of shooting this blast off and kind of exploding everything just like Powder did, and it seems like Isha is dead. In this final scene, Victor describes the 2 sides of a coin of humanity, that someone who's inspired to do their greatest good may end up doing their greatest evil. And it's definitely reminiscent again to Powder trying to do her best in season 1 episode 3. She was trying to help everyone out but ended up killing, you know, everyone. And I think it's definitely the same thing here with Isha trying to do the right thing for everyone. She wants to make a difference, but it's not gonna work out. I mean, not everyone's gonna be happy coming out of this, you know. But as he's saying this, the gear again is kind of spinning, representing the 2 sides of the same coin. But yeah, Jace did ruin everything. We were right, or I was right. But that was a longer video, but there was just a lot to break down today. But I'm going to be breaking down the trailer next, probably tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.